All right, so we're going live. So welcome YouTube to Clear Vision Wednesday. Today is a little mini slideshow that I will present to you, and it's called Shift Your Mindset to Clarity. And you will see what I mean by that. So I will share my screen and then we will go over, and I won't see your comments live during the slideshow, but I will turn the slideshow off when it's done, and then I can see your comments live and I can respond to them. So let me start by sharing my screen. And 1 second, I have my YouTube covering it up. It's always, okay, here we go. So sharing desktop too. So you should be seeing my slideshow, and I will now play the slideshow. And if for some reason you don't see it, then let me know. Like Diana, my assistant, can just speak up. But if you do see it, then no reason to say anything. So shift your mindset to clarity. Here's the thing, most people give up on their dreams, visions, and goals before they reach them. And you might have heard of Tony Robbins. He said 80% of success is due to psychology, mindset, beliefs, and emotions, and only 20% is due to strategy, the specific steps needed to accomplish a result, right? So it doesn't mean that we don't need specific steps, but that's the 20%. And here's the thing, we all experience something called cognitive bias. And that was a term created by Amos Tversky and Daniel Kahneman in the early 1970s. And it basically refers to the mental shortcuts that we all make to quickly make sense of what we are seeing and perceiving. So it's a bias, it's a systematic error in a person's way of thinking, which usually originates from that person's prior experiences. And biases lead us to avoid information that may be uncomfortable instead of exploring it further for our own success. So basically, cognitive bias is this belief that our perceived reality is the objective reality. So what does that have to do with eyesight? Here's an example. So if let's say you're nearsighted, right? You might think that it's super easy for everybody to see super fine details or be able to write your name on a grain of rice or something like that. And here's for me, so I'll give you a little personal story. So for me as a farsighted person, it was really hard to see how someone could not see the distance clearly. Like as a rookie teacher, when I first began teaching over a decade ago, I frequently forgot that somebody that was nearsighted wasn't possibly be able to see the tree outside. I would be like, let's look at the tree at the horizon. And then I was like, oh, with the naked eye. So I had to learn, understand and embody beyond my own eyesight, to help others get results. So I couldn't assume just because I saw something clearly that other people could see the same thing clearly. And we all have cognitive biases in different aspects of our lives. The difference between success and with vision improvement, and that really goes for everything, but specifically for vision improvement today, that's what we're going to talk about, is your awareness of these biases and how you address them. And you might have heard of Carol Dweck. She's a Stanford psychologist, and she defined 2 different mindsets in her book, Mindset, the New Psychology of Success. She discovered that one of the most basic beliefs about ourselves is how we view and inhabit what we consider to be our personality. And she identified 2 mindsets, which she called the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. And that creates many of our behaviors, our beliefs, our relationship with success and failure, and our capacity for happiness. So many people, and I can definitely attest to myself, we have been raised since childhood with a fixed mindset rather than a growth mindset. So fixed mindset assumes that our character, our intelligence, our talents, our creative ability are static, that we cannot change them in any meaningful way. And success is simply the affirmation of that inherent capability, right? Maybe a parent told you, you're so good at this, like this is what we usually, and I probably said that to my children too. You're so talented, you're so good at this. But a fixed mindset leads to the desire to look smart and preserve that identity, which cannot be changed according to that mindset. So a person with a fixed mindset tends to avoid challenges. They tend to give up easily when they face an obstacle. they tend to see effort as useless or not helping to see changes. And they tend to ignore constructive feedback and often feel defensive or threatened by the success of others because they have a deterministic view of the world. As a result, they may plateau early and achieve less than their full potential unless they're able to shift to a growth mindset. So in vision improvement, and I will go over in a little bit over what that means in vision improvement, like the things I've been seeing. So a growth mindset is based on the assumption that intelligence can be developed, and intelligence in many forms, right? This leads to a desire to learn and a tendency to embrace challenges and persist in the face of obstacles. People who have developed a growth mindset tend to see hard work and effort as the path to mastery. So they learn from failure and from criticism and feedback. They find lessons and inspiration in the success of others and have a sense of their own free will and ability to change their life and circumstances. As a result, they fail what we call failing forward in reaching ever higher levels of achievement. They also tend to be happier with themselves along the way, since they see challenge and failure as a springboard for growth, whereas people with a fixed mindset tend to see challenge and failure as a threat to their identity. And I'm curious, maybe type in the chat if you're watching live, if this is how you've been feeling. I've definitely been feeling that. Every time somebody is better, I'm like, oh, I'm not good enough. All these things come up from me for sure, 100%. So Carol Dweck, here's just a quote from a couple of quotes from her book, but she said, do people with this, growth mindset now believe that anyone can be anything, that anyone with proper motivation or education can become Einstein or Beethoven? No, but they believe that a person's true potential is unknown and unknowable, that it's impossible to foresee what can be accomplished with years of passion, toil, and training. So why waste time proving over and over again how great you are when you could be getting better? Why hide deficiencies instead of overcoming them? And why seek out the tried and true instead of experiences that will stretch you? So the passion for stretching yourself and sticking to it, even or especially when it's not going well, is the hallmark of the growth mindset. This is the mindset that allows people to thrive during some of the most challenging times in their lives. And here's the thing, it takes work to change your habits, right? Learn new skills and to initially befriend the blur when we do our vision improvement. And it's not always going to be a smooth journey, right? I always liken the vision improvement, like a roller coaster. You see ups and downs. And also, what works for someone else may not work for you. The world is full of people with different vision challenges, temperaments, thinking styles, learning styles, sensitivities, and emotions. What comes naturally and easily to them might be a huge struggle for you, and vice versa. So it's really important to recognize that we all kind of tick differently, that we all kind of have a different inner clockwork or a brain and feelings. And that's one reason why I personally don't like to prescribe a general protocol for vision improvement in my group classes, right? Everybody's like, how many times should I do this or that, or how long? I will obviously give you a starting point from which you can then explore what works best for you. But, and that includes how often, how long to do a specific practice. But and I will dive a little deeper into that in a moment. But I recommend that you track your practices and what you do and what results you get. Maybe as an example here, I'm doing starting and strobing in this picture, but maybe for you, doing it once a day for 5 minutes is way better. And for someone else, doing it 3 to 5 times per day for 1 minute might be more helpful to reduce light sensitivity and relax. So here I'm going through now a bunch of common mindset or limiting, I don't like the word limiting beliefs so much, but a bunch of different mindset things that I've come across in my students in my online course and also with my private students. So one of them is like, I'm so behind, right? If I do a live group coaching course, it runs over a certain amount of weeks. And I hear that all the time, I'm so behind. And in all honesty, I'm taking a course right now and I am a little bit behind the regular schedule, but I know I just block time in my calendar and I get right back to it. So, and this comes from this fixed mindset of avoiding challenges with a tendency to give up easily if there's a real or perceived obstacle, in this case, time. And this is not about that I want to make you feel worse, but I just know that this happens for everybody, and that your mindset is that makes a big difference between having success and getting stuck and abandoning the course or abandoning vision improvement. So here's my recommendation. You have to make a decision, right? If you in anything in your life, but let's say you do vision improvement and you're on an online course or you're in a program, make a decision to either go back, commit, take action, play, make it a priority, play full out, or make a decision to let it go for now and do it later, right? But don't be like, oh, I'm so behind, and constantly judging yourself, like reiterating that you're kind of stuck, like you're poured in concrete and you're not moving forward. Here's another common thing that I hear. I don't get it. I don't understand this. I'm so confused, right? And this is, again, the fixed mindset, having this tendency to give up easily when there's an obstacle showing up or when you don't understand on something or you're not clear. So my coach, Callan Rush, called this the door of confusion. And in this case, I have several doors here. But it's absolutely normal to feel confused and unsure and unclear when you're learning a new skill, right? And vision improvement is a huge change in your lifestyle and your habits. And remember the last time you learned something new. Just remember, like, it doesn't matter if it's a new language, if it's surfing or, the art of ikebana, a flower arrangement. You will fail in the beginning. You will get it wrong. You will, maybe make a fool out of yourself and you will be confused. But it's part of the learning process. So remember that just being okay being in the door of confusion, because most likely you're going to open the door and then you take 2 or 3 steps and you're out on the other side, right? So here's another thing. Here's the solution to that. Trust that things will fall into place, right? Taking that step forward, opening the door. And if you really cannot figure this out on your own, then ask. Right? Ask somebody, ask your teacher, whoever program you're doing, and ask for help or find a community that's supportive. Here's I think this is now the 3rd or 4th thing. I'm losing track of how many, but this is another thing I hear all the time. I need to see change to stay motivated. But here's the thing. Your results might not happen overnight for you. And especially if you're doing this on your own and you don't have a coach. It's really not that easy to do these things on your own. So, but blaming it, if you do have a coach, blaming it on the teacher or the resource or the book, whatever you have, or the course, the protocol, or maybe the stress or your husband or your kids or whatever, that's not going to make a difference. So take 100% responsibility for your success. Don't blame it on anything else or anybody else or anything else. And my second tip here is to stay non-attached to the outcome of a practice, because expectations create stress and tension. And that doesn't mean that you don't want to set goals and that you don't want to see progress. But the more expectations you have, the more pressure you put on yourself, the least likely you're going to see improvements in your eyesight. And this is a picture I took at my live event at my house right before COVID happened. And everybody, all the attendees in my live event saw improvements in just one day, because they relaxed and they didn't have huge expectations. They just came with an open mind, not really knowing what's going to happen, and boom, results happen. But not because they forced themselves, because as you might know already, good vision is based on relaxation. So another thing is this, I already talked about this a little bit earlier, but like saying, oh, I don't know how often to do this stuff or how many times a day I should do this practice. So this is, again, being stuck in the door of confusion. And it's the easy way out to just be like, oh, I don't know. I don't understand this. I might not as well give up right now. So again, a teacher should make recommendations, but at the same time, here's what I want my students to do. I want you to log your practices, put them, I call this the Daily Insights Journal, track what you're doing and see what happens. And then you detect your own patterns and you find out what works best for you. Like, eyes are not abs, okay? I always say that. You can do 100 crunches and hate them and do them and your abs will still get stronger. But if you do like the long swing 100 times and you hate every minute of it and you just, God, my teacher told me to do 100 swings, and you stress out about it or you get really annoyed or irritated, or I had a student saying, I hate palming. Like, why should I palm twice as long as sunning? This is annoying. I'm like, sit with that emotion. Like, why? What is so annoying about palming, right? Really, like, explore your own feelings and your own results, but it's just blindly following a protocol, because eyesight is not like abs. You know, you can do the 100 swings, do it with strain, and you won't see any changes whatsoever, and you literally wasted 5 minutes of your life. So here's 2 things of practice that I recommend. Anything that's relaxing, right? Because good vision is based on relaxation. So anything that relaxes you, and there's a whole host of vision practices, and anything that is challenging you a little bit. You know, that could be diverging, converging, could be the Brock string, it could be imagination, it could be using your memory to see better. Any of these practices could be difficult, but sprinkling in a little bit of that things that are challenging will really get you results versus just doing all the things that already feel good. So, and here's the last thing I want to talk about today. This is something like, if you have stronger glasses, or you cannot just, you know, throw your glasses away or use pinhole glasses, this kind of like, I don't know how much to reduce my diopters. Tell me exactly what to do. And I've tried reduced glasses and they don't work for me. I hear those things all the time. So in this case, I recommend hiring a teacher to help you understand your prescriptions and measure your own eyesight and really understand what you're doing, because just ordering glasses, you know, blindly, literally blindly from zenni.com or one of those resources where you can get them without a prescription, without really knowing what you're doing, you might actually harm your vision more. You might do something that's not safe. So if that is not as easy to understand, and maybe hire a coach or get a book or another resource to help you understand how to do this, because do it yourself really only gets you so far. And the key to reduce glasses is, what I recommend is like what I call befriend the blur, but not to the point where everything is so blurry that you're not safe or you cannot relax. It's just that sweet spot of reduction that when you are using your habits, when you are relaxed, you have clear vision with your glasses, or you reduce glasses. But when you strain and when you do the bad old habits, and the blur comes back, and in that case, the blur is a good friend telling you, hey, you're doing, you know, maybe you're holding your breath, maybe you're not blinking, maybe you're staring, whatever it is that you're doing. So it's a friend. So that's what I usually teach. And here's my last slide. I have a resource for you called 10 Habits. And when you go to, you have to do the www. When you go there, you can download my free guide to vision improvement. And that's really what I wanted to end with today. So let me stop my screen share. All right, and I'm gonna look on YouTube if anybody has commented. No, I don't see anything. Hi, James. Thank you. So he's saying I'm a great teacher. If you have any questions, let me know. But this mindset piece is really big. And I don't know whoever determined that 80% is mindset and 20% is strategy. That wasn't certainly my number. But it's definitely, I see the biggest difference in the mindset in my students that succeed versus that don't. And of course, doing the practices, right? Like just sitting there and having good mindset and not doing anything, because that, remember, the growth mindset includes taking action. And the only way that you know that you failure only happens when you've taken action. If you just don't do anything, then you can't fail, and then you also can't see success. So hi Kim, yeah, thank you, great info. So this is just, to me, this is always comes back, and I'm not perfect, right? I definitely fall into these traps when I learn something new, where I'm like, oh my God, this is so challenging. And that's where you make the decision. Either maybe this is something I don't want to do, or not right now. And I just put it on the bookshelf, like a book that I thought was good. And I started reading it and I was like, maybe it's interesting in a year or so. Or you take action, and then don't make excuses. And I learned this from Jack Canfield, take 100% responsibility for yourself. Don't blame it on anyone else. So I hope this was helpful. And if you don't have any questions, I'm going to end the YouTube live, and my Clear Vision Club students have a little bit of extra time with me here on Zoom. And I say goodbye on YouTube, and I hope you join me next Wednesday. I don't have a topic yet for next Wednesday. So if you have anything that you really urgently want me to address, then post it in my Facebook group. I've linked it in my notes. It's called See Clearly Without Glasses. You can put it there, or you can send me an email, info@myholisticvision. But if you have a topic you're like, we got to cover that. And then on the 28th, I have an amazing guest speaker that I will share with you soon. All right. Bye on YouTube. Let me end the live stream. Okay.